Natalie Sideserf here, Sideserf Cake Studio, and I'm going to show you how I made a King Boo cake. Just a few days ago, I revisited the game Mario World, and this time I beat it. It wasn't quite as hard as I remember, but it was really fun nonetheless, and it inspired me to make a Mario-themed cake. If you're a fan of this cake, please consider giving it a like, because it helps us reach more people, and we really appreciate that. And shout out to patron Britney Gray. Thank you for joining. So let's get started. For this cake, I need 2 different sized cake layers, one slightly smaller than the other. For the larger layer, I'm using a 5-inch diameter metal lid as a stencil to cut out a perfect circle. That's because I don't own a 5-inch round cutter, so this'll do. I do, however, have a 4-inch round cutter, so I'm using that to cut out the smaller size cake layers. Using a cutter is much easier. I end up with 2 5-inch layers of cake and 2 4-inch layers of cake. To stack the cake, I start with a smaller layer of cake first, then I stack the 2 larger layers, and I end with a smaller layer. So it's small, large, large, small. Cake doesn't hold a round shape very well, so typically I make a custom cake board that has a round bottom and I stack cakes on top of it. That is definitely the smart and safe way to make a round cake like this. I'll put a link in the description to a Dungeons & Dragons cake video, and that's going to show you what I mean by that custom round cake board. That being said, for this cake, I'm taking my chances and I'm not using a round cake board to support the bottom. And that's because I'm wild. Actually, I just think that this cake is small enough that it won't smush or shift and start to lose its shape too much. I'm carving the cake with a serrated knife starting with the top. I'm taking my time with this and only cutting a little bit of cake at a time. If I mess up the shape too much, it isn't very easy to fix. So I want to make sure that I capture that round shape right off the bat. Now that the top is carved, I'm literally picking the cake up and I'm flipping it over and I'm carving the other side. I'm carving this side a little differently than the other, and that's to compensate for the smush factor. You see, after you stack a chilled cake and it starts to go back to room temperature, it will always settle a little and that bottom layer of cake will smush from the weight of the top layers. So I'm leaving a little extra cake on the bottom, so once the smush happens, it'll look like a round shape. Now I'm placing a thin dowel into the top of the cake. This dowel gives me something to hold on to while I cover the cake in a layer of buttercream. This layer is called a crumb coat, and it's going to fill in any gaps or holes in the cake, making a nice, super smooth surface for me to add my final layer of modeling chocolate. I make it smooth with an offset spatula and a bendable scraper. On to the modeling chocolate. I'm rolling out a layer of white modeling chocolate just large enough to cover the entire cake. Then I place it on the chilled cake and I work it into that round shape. Here is where that chilled cake comes in handy. I wouldn't be able to pick this cake up and start blending it if it were at room temperature, because the cake layers would start to slide around and it would really lose its shape. I always cover my cakes in modeling chocolate rather than fondant, but in this case, it is extremely important to use modeling chocolate. Fondant stays soft at room temperature, but modeling chocolate sets firm. And that is key to make sure that I can keep this round shape that I'm going for. Now that the cake is pretty smooth, it is time to add Boo's face. Boos are ghost enemies in the Mario franchise. So I ask myself, what makes a Boo a Boo? And I have to say, it's their shy personalities. When you're playing the game and your character is looking away, Boo will fly right up to you. But when you look at them, they get all bashful and they cover their faces with their short hands and arms. It's so cute. So the first thing I'm adding is Boo's blushing face with some pink powdered food color. Next comes the brows, which meet in the middle and then they swoop down. So I'm painting them with black food color over top of the pink area with a super thin brush. This face is a take on Boo from early on in the Mario franchise. Did you know that Boos are also called Boo Diddlies and Boo Buddies? I like those names. Boo Diddley. The closed eyes are just below the brows, only they arch up. A super easy cheat is to make a little dot where I know I want the eye to end, and then I paint the arch to meet that dot. That way the two eyes are pretty even, like the Boo in the game. Rather than painting the mouth black, I'm going to sculpt it. First, I lightly score the chocolate into that wavy mouth shape, and then I start pressing deeper and deeper with the sculpting tools. Then I blend the bottom lip just to soften it more. For the adorable hands, I place a chunk of modeling chocolate overlapping part of the eyes, and then I blend it into the body. I'm adding a little bit more chocolate to the bottom lip just to emphasize it more. The tail is also made of a chunk of modeling chocolate, just like the hands, and I just blend it right into the body. Halfway into making this cake, I came across a picture of King Boo, who wears a crown that looks a lot like a ring pop. So I decided that I have to turn this Boo cake into a King Boo cake. Here I'm trying my best to separate the candy from the plastic ring without cracking it too much. Ring pop number 1, fail. I twisted it and it just shattered. On to ring pop number 2. I don't want to give up. To me, Mario is super nostalgic, and ring pops are also nostalgic. So I love the idea of two childhood things coming together in a cake. And I crushed it. Not in a good way. So I'm out of ring pops. So I'm going to have to salvage what I have here. Here I have a tiny LED light that I have been dying to use on a cake. And guess what? King Boo's crown glows. So this is my chance. So I just twist the light on and you can see how neat it looks when it shines through that candy. To keep the light food safe, I cover it in a layer of modeling chocolate so that it doesn't touch the cake and it can just easily be removed. I'm digging a hole into the top of Boo's head with a sculpting tool, and then I place the light in. Boo doesn't seem to be enjoying this. Now comes the candy crown. So if this were made for someone else other than myself, I would absolutely let them know that they need to take that light out before eating the cake. I'm adding chocolate triangles to the sides to represent the gold area of the crown. King Boo is the leader of the Boos, the arch nemesis of Luigi, and the main bad guy in the game Luigi's Mansion. It's similar to the relationship between Mario and Bowser. In fact, King Boo and Bowser team up against the Mario Brothers. How can someone so cute be so mean? It's like my mom's cat. And there you have it, a King Boo cake. Let's dim the lights and see that crown glow. And now we cut the cake. Ooh, looks painful. And I'm gonna eat that ring pop.